Okay, so as you can see on my table, I have my basic sleeve block and my basic bodice block right here on my table. So you will needing these blocks because basically we want to alter the sleeve block in order to get the raglan sleeve. I'll be showing us how to do that in a bit. So you need these blocks to actually make this bamboo sleeve, bamboo petal sleeve, basically. So what you want to start with is to mark out how you want your raglan sleeve to be on your basic block. So of course you want to pay attention to the front and back of your sleeve as well as your bodies. So I'm going to use my pencil to create like a curve where I want my raglan sleeve to be from the neck right there to the armhole. I'll be leaving the armhole at that midpoint on my armhole. Basically, these marks were already indicated on my basic bodies and sleeve block, so it's very easy to just quickly use your French curve ruler to just create a curve from the neckline to that point. So you can see that I've done that for my front bodies and I've also done that for my back bodies. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place a new paper underneath, and using my tracing wheel, I'll simply trace out the front and back of that area of the basic bodice block. So now that I'm done, I'm going to take out my bodies and use my pencil to trace out that raglan part of the bodies for both the front and the back. So of course you want to use your pen to indicate that this is the front, and also use a pen to indicate that this is the back for the raglan sleeve. So now that we are done with the first stage, we want to take out your sleeve pattern. Remember, this is a copy, so you're not using your original sleeve block. Like I told us, you always duplicate it so that you can alter it into whatever you like. So now that I have my two raglan, I'm going to place them on my sleeve like this. I'll hold them down in place using my masking tape. And of course, I'm going to take a piece of paper, as always, place it underneath and trace. So now that I've traced, I can take out the two pieces because they are no longer important. This is now my raglan sleeve. Now we'll come into adjusting the neckline later on into the project, but now I want us to focus on the next stage, which is creating star lines for your bamboo. So the next thing we want to do is to create star lines on our sleeve. So I'm not going to be working with any dimension. I'm just going to be using my initiative to create a star line. So I'm just going to draw slash lines the way a bamboo would work. Okay, so I'm just going to create that star line from the bottom all the way to the top of the sleeve. So I think I have about 11 star lines here. So I'm just going to number them using my pen. So you want to number each of the star lines that you have created on the sleeve. So the next thing we want to do is to slash through the star line. So I'm going to be starting from the hem of the sleeve and on the first star line. So I'm using my scissors. I'm going to slash through, but do not slash completely. You want to leave about 1 centimeter unslashed at the tip. So I'm going to spread it as wide as I can because I need to create or include a dot in that space. That dot is what will help me to create pleats later on for the design. So I need it to be super wide. So you want to create spread as wide as you can. I'll be using newspaper to work out my spread. So I'm going to place this newspaper on my table, place the spread on it, and tape each ends with my masking tape. And of course, you want to flip your sleeve to the wrong side so that you can trim out any excess paper you have behind. So you can see how the design look like at the front. Now what I'm going to do is to create what looks like pleats so that I can actually know how to cut through the dots. So you're folding it up to completely like close the slash. I'll be able to tell how to cut it. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to trim out the excess paper. And when I open it up, you can see I have like spikes right there, but you can simply trim out the spikes using your scissors. So now that I'm done, I'm going to go to the second star lines. So I want to follow this line right here so I can get to the second one. So using my scissors, I'm going to cut through in order for me to get to the second star line. So you can see I'm now at the second star line. Using my scissors, I'm going to trim through the star line and also leave 1 centimeter unslashed. At the tip. Just like the first star line, I'm going to open it super wide so that I can create a spread. Place my newspaper on my table. And the spread as well, and then I'm going to tape it down using my masking tape. I'll flip the sleeve to the wrong side to cut off any extra or excess paper, and then back to the right side. I would fold the way that I did earlier with the first spread. I'm going to fold until it closes up completely, and then I'll trim off the excess paper. So now that I'm done, I'm going to move to the third. I'm basically going to repeat this process until I'm completely done with all the slashes. So when I'm done, I'm going to show you how my pattern looks like. So you can see that I'm absolutely done including all my slashes. Now that I'm done including that in all the slashes, you can see how super wide my pattern is. Now placing this on the fabric is going to be super difficult because you want all the slashes to stay in place. Now, with the way the pattern is, it's impossible to actually cut out any fabric for this. So the best way to do is to demarcate the pattern into bits that will allow you to be able to cut out your fabric. So I'll be starting from the top. But before I do that, I'm going to adjust my neckline a bit into its scope. So I've placed a paper underneath and have adjusted the neckline. You can see how it looks now. You can do But the first thing you want to do is to indicate which of the patterns you are actually cutting. So since I'm cutting this particular pattern, I'm going to write out the number on the spread and create an arrow that connects with the other pattern, so that by the time I cut it out on fabric, I will know which pattern is supposed to be with which, so that you don't get confused. So as you can see right here, I have cut out my pattern and I've indicated it using an arrow. I've also indicated the number of the pattern and I also made it correspond with the others. Now I'm going to place this on my fabric. Now, while cutting this out on your fabric, you want to leave for space, enough space for seam allowance. I usually leave about 0.5 of seam allowances at the hem of the or around the pattern, so that I'll be able to join it with the pieces that I have demarcated it from. So you can see right here I have cut out my pattern, and you can now see how it looks. You also want to use your pencil, but since I won't be using this fabric anymore later on, I'll just use my pen. But if you are doing this design for an actual fabric, I would recommend that you use a pencil so that you can easily clean it off when you're done. Okay, or you use what we call a disappearing pen that disappears after a couple of hours. So I'm going to be using my pen in this case, since this is a scrap fabric. So I'm going to indicate the number as well on my fabric, so that when I am joining the pieces together, I will be able to do that. So I'll go to the next piece and I'll repeat the process as well. I'll continue to do this for all the pieces of the pattern, and then I will join them all up together. Now, of course, I'm going to hold the, when you're trying to join it, it can be a little bit confusing. So what I usually recommend is that you join your patterns, the ones that you've slashed out into pieces, join them up back together and place them close to you, so that you can see how they are actually supposed to look while you are joining your pieces. It will serve as a guide for you. So I've done that, and you can see my pieces joined together. So I'll take them to my sewing machine so I can join them all up together. So now that I've joined all my pattern pieces together, it is time to fold them. Now this is the difficult part. Often I would also recommend that you fold your pattern the way it's easier to fold a paper than a fabric. So while you are folding, you'll be able to tell how you're supposed to fold your own fabric. So I folded my pattern, so now I can look at it as a guide to help me fold my fabric. So now that I'm done, you can see how the both look. See my pattern I folded and all that. So the next thing we want to do is to sew the pieces all up together. So folding the pieces up together, stitching them up together is the tricky part, because now we have like a zigzag form of it going on right here on a pattern. Basically, it isn't really difficult. You just fold according to the zigzag way the pattern is going. So I'll stitch the seam up with the dart up here and take the other end of the dart and stitch it up to the original piece. I'll continue to do that until all my pieces are closed up together. Now the thing is, I will be holding down these patterns with pins first, because I would later need to fold my darts into pleats, so I will need them to be somewhere. So you can see how I have held my patterns together with a pin. It's now time to fold the darts. So this is my dart right here. So what I'm simply going to do is to pleat it kind of, and then stick the hem of those pleats to the hem there, and then flip my fabric over so I can join that hem together to close it up completely. So I've done that, and I'll continue to do that. Now this is a little bit tricky, but if you pay attention to it, you can actually get it. I have actually done this project for a bodice before in my advanced pattern drafting class, where we moved into the advanced level. Of how to join the pieces. It's quite simple. You just take the hem of the piece, place it, and then flip the other end over so that you can stitch it up completely. And then you move on to the other dart, fold it up into pleats, place the hem securely at the end, flip the other end of the piece so that you can stitch it up together. So I'm going to continue to do this until I am done putting all my dots into pleats, and you can now see how my pattern looks like. So now that we are done putting in the pleats, we are going to flip our fabric over to the wrong side. We want to join the ends together, and then I'm going to stitch it up from the armhole down the wrist, and then I will show you how the pattern looks like on my chest form. So you can see how the pattern looks like on my dress form. My dress form doesn't have an arm, so you might not really see how perfectly it fits, but then you can see the whole bamboo movement happening right there, almost exactly with what we have in our photo. So all you have to do is follow this project or follow these steps to create your own bamboo sleeve pattern, and then of course upload the video on our Facebook page, tag your friends, and get them to vote for you. So remember, it's not how incredible your design is, it's basically how many people get to vote for you. Remember, if you have any question about this lesson, you can leave them below this video. Remember that our pattern drafting class as well as other classes will be coming up in the middle of June. So make sure you get ready and start signing up immediately. You can visit the various classrooms for more information. They are totally free for 30 days, depending on the course anyway. Some courses end in 14 weeks. 14 days, some end in 30 days. So it all depends on the course that you're interested in. Remember, they are absolutely free from 14 to 30 days. If you have any questions, please feel free to chat me up, and I cannot wait to read from you. So do have a fantastic weekend, and